take a moment. Let's ask Malam Garba Shehu this question also. Tell us, has the president obtained, aside the position of the court on this executive order 6, has the president taking any step perhaps to get an interim order to restrict ban on some Nigerians?
Well, let me say to you that I'm not a lawyer myself, and so therefore the nitty-gritty would be defined clearly by this country's Attorney General. One thing is very clear, that under the Constitution as it is, one of the cardinal duties, responsibilities of the Nigerian government, it's an obligation to fight corruption. And so therefore, in as much as people can argue for individual rights, the government can also argue for its own rights under the Constitution to fight corruption. Now, what the court has done by giving a clean sheet, to Executive Order 6, is to say to the government, you are on the right course. This law is good, is in line with the Constitution, it is implementable. And that's where we are.
So, okay, Chief Robert Clarke seems to have...
With due respect to the special assistant, the court cannot give you an open blanket and to say this law is in line with the constitution of the country. I don't think the court will have made such a blanket statement.
Is the order anti the constitution?
No, the fact that the court says, yes, this is a good law, but it must be done in accordance with other laws under the constitution. And as I said earlier, you cannot restrict. No government has the power under this constitution to restrict movement of its people without a court order.
So the travel ban is a wrong decision from your point of view?
It's not a wrong decision. It's a decision that must follow a due process of law. And the due process is that ex parte, they go to the court. Oh, this man, this man, this man, this man, and show all the facts. They will get it. That is the due process. And it legitimizes that law.
So, does the spirit of this law and this executive order dictates that the Attorney General must approach the court to implement, because the president has said there must be full implementation of this order. Yes. But in implementing it, does the Attorney General need to approach the court for a clearance at every point?
Definitely, except if they want to override the constitution that guarantees, the freedom of movement by Nigerians. And it's an international law itself, under international law.
Is there a bubble in the path of this execution that the government might be stepping on, in the sense that, look, it's for asset recovery? Could there be a line that they can toe and maybe step out of line in the execution and implementation? Is it possible?
It's a simple thing for government to do. They only need to get a prior order, ex parte. Once the man is served, don't go out again. He has the right to challenge that order in court.
Or maybe his passport is still in the court.
Many of them, as you rightly said, I believe their passports have been taken down when they were being granted bails. But what I'm saying is that whether their passport, they have it or not, anytime government wants to implement Order 6, it is better for the Attorney General make a list, go to court, and get an interim order. That is due process.
Let me ask you these questions, sir. And it's going to be, if you look at the assessment of the 3.5 years or so of this government fighting corruption, have they taken any wrong decision legally that you've seen?
Well, I wouldn't say they've taken any wrong decision. They have been following due process. They now find, according to them, that due process is not yielding a speedy result. That was why sometimes last year, Mr. President said, oh, this delay in implementing is due to the courts. Lawyers are doing this, the courts. And I came out and I said, no. Many of the problems are within the Attorney General's office. You have no trained lawyers. You have GPP's office in 36 states. Why not go there and pick young lawyers who are trained rather than going and picking senior advocates who have never prosecuted in their life?
Let's perhaps close this segment of the program. I wish you could allow Mr. Garba Shehu to talk to us about this government administration, but I've been meaning to ask you this question. Let me put it right on the spot. In 30 seconds, if you can tell me. You worked with the former vice president, who is the candidate of the People's Democratic Party now, for several years as his media advisor when he was vice president. Now you're working with the president, Muhammadu Buhari, who is the APC candidate. You are in a fix, isn't it?
No, absolutely no, because as an adult person, 60 years old, 2 degrees with years of experience in government and private sector, the former vice president has made his choices. I've made my choices. We're all entitled to make our own decisions on matters of life.
All right. Also on that note, that we will take another break. And thank you so much, Malam Garba Shehu, for talking to us on the program today. That's President, Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity. And also, I must sincerely thank you, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Chief Robert Clarke. It's a pleasure always having the benefit of your experience on the program.
Thank you.
Up next on the program, our attention shifts to the storming situation in Rivers APC. What is the fate of after the court nullified the primaries, which saw Toyiko's emergence as a party flag bearer? Let's talk about that, everyone.